Kick and chase by Mullins. Kick and chase again by Mullins. It'll be a miracle. Oh, it is a miracle. Fafita tries to crash his way over. He does. Fafita got the ball over the line.
Hunter's kick is over the sideline for a 40-20.
Yeah, g'day champions and welcome to 40-20 Sports. Round 6 teams are in. We're going to do a bit of a hybrid between the buy, hold, sells and the team lists that have come out. I've been super busy the last couple of weeks, so sorry for the content that hasn't been getting released, but we'll sort of wrap it all up into one little video here today. A big congratulations to Callum, coach of the Let's Go On Gurus, 1,426 for him last week, so super good work from him. Awesome super coaching, top of the league of 40-20 Sports. Another shout out is best of the best. He is at the top of it at the moment, the 40-20 Cup. He is sitting 49th overall with 5,580 points. He's flying. I hope he has a stack load of trades left up his belt, making some good moves, and hopefully, well done to you, mate. We'll be following you, and anyone who is leading the comp at any stage will be giving announcements on them. For the Ferrets this week, 1,080. We didn't escape all the Black Friday shit that happened. We had Teddy with a 5, got KO'd. Looks to be out next week, so we're going to have to sort something out there. We're currently ranked 9,800, so 1,080, decent score. My last 3 weeks have been hovering around that 1,100 mark. I just haven't really been able to punch through that, although no shocking scores have come through, so haven't really gone up, haven't really gone down. I think I lost about 400 spots, so not the end of the world. I am 80th in the 40-20 Cup. Just on that massive shout out, we have 588 people in that. This started about a couple of weeks out of pre-season for this, so everyone that's jumped onto that, awesome. Thank you so much. Anyone who hasn't jumped on it yet, the league code is 726638. You've got until round 8 to jump in. We've got a merch pack for the winners. I've got a bit more gear coming that I'm going to start distributing out after round 8. Going to be doing a fair bit of giveaways and whatnot just to get a bit more interaction on our Instagram account. Again, with Instagram, it's a lot easier for me to keep in touch and contact everyone. I know I've got to spill this shit at the start, but it really is easier. The guys that I do talk to on Instagram, I'll get straight back to you as soon as I can. Everyone who has been messaging me knows that. Don't leave anyone in the lurch, so jump on there. We'll start a couple of giveaways once round 8's locked out and we get a bit of a community going on what is going on for the rest of the year. Anyway, we will jump straight into it. The round 6 Thursday night game will be the Knights versus the Roosters. The Knights look like they're bouncing back quite nicely. 2 on the trot. They're at McDonald Jones Stadium again, which is good for them. The Roosters are a little bit depleted. Bloody hell, they got the devastation that happened from that Friday night game between the Roosters and Dogs was, I've never seen anything like it. It was insane. The people going down from both sides, the sin bins, the suspensions, the injuries, like everything was just insane. But we'll run through the Knights. Their back 1-7 is pretty much the same, although they do have Greg Marzu on the bench. Now, Marzu started the season relatively slow, as did the whole Knights team. So we'll be looking to get Greg Marzu in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully he has a bit of a tough game. You know, they bring him back. He's still working on that hand injury, but he'll be one to watch in the next couple of weeks. The likes of Jaden Brayley at hooker, I think people will be looking for a Danny Levi out once he stops scoring fucking tries. Like, he just keeps scoring them. He's getting 45 points every week with a try. Like, it cannot hold up. Eventually, he's going to get his 20-point games, and they're going to come in abundance. So, if you do have Danny Levi, I'll be looking for an out. Jaden Brayley got 60 minutes last week. Only got 37 points, but still, if that's in the wet. If he can sort something out and get 60 to 70 minutes, hopefully they build him towards a 70 to 80-minute player again. Not sure if that's going to happen with Phoenix on the bench. But if it can, Brayley could be a nice, like, you could downgrade Danny Levi to Jaden Brayley. Dylan Lucas, he's a bit of a popular lookout. He's sub 500k, CTW, 2RF, dual. The word is on Frizzell is that he's probably only another week or 2 away, so I'm probably leaning towards not jumping onto Dylan Lucas. His motor and his work rate is insane. I think he topped the tackle count out there in the second row on an edge, on the right-hand edge. He got 43, so His motor's massive. If he can get an 80-minute spot, he is 100% locked in my team. I'm just a little bit of uncertainty around the Frizzell sort of thing going on there. Kai Pearce, Paul punched out at 50, wet conditions, attacking stats will come. Just keep an eye on him. Don't think he's going anywhere. I think his base is 50, and that'll be his low games if he's getting 80 minutes. On to the Roosters. We'll start with Joey Manu. Now, Joey Manu is one of the most traded in players we've got this week that we've seen. Now, I like it. Teddy obviously going down. Joey Manu goes into the fullback spot. I think at halftime, Joey Manu was on 16 points. It was in the wet. I thought, oh shit, he's going to have a shocker. I wasn't really watching him that hard even because he wasn't doing anything special. But Joey Manu, 8,500 trades for him to go in their sides this week so far. This is Wednesday. We are doing this as well. He is all but 700K. He's got a projected score of 89 this week, which is going to give him 42K. I'm a bit more hesitant on it than I think most people are. I've never really been a fan of Joey Manu in centres. He has very up and down games from what I've seen. When he's in fullback, gun. Absolutely. Over the Origin period, he's nearly a must every time Teddy goes into Origin camp. The issue for me with this is he's going to play fullback this week. He's got the Knights. Now, the Knights usually turn it on a little bit against the Roosters up there at McDonald Stadium. The last couple of games, I think, up there, they've come away with, if not a win, a decent performance against them. They then have the Storm, the Dragons, Broncos, New Zealand, and the Sharks. So apart from St. George in 3 weeks, potentially he just goes back to centre. And in the centre, he's going to be up against Melbourne, Broncos, New Zealand, and the Sharks, apart from Newcastle this week at fullback. So don't get sucked into the trap of going, yep, Joey Manu, he's got this 100-point game in him. He's got the 100-point game in him when he's playing fullback, but I'm not convinced that he's got that in him when he is playing in the centres. Where it gets juicy for Joey Manu is over the Origin period. I'm looking at getting Joey Manu in around round 12. 12, he's got Canberra, then the Cowboys. He plays the round 13 bye. Going to have to start looking at this Origin-wise in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Everyone is going to have to change their focus from getting out and out points to starting to get Origin players, people that will play over the Origin period. Joey Manu, superstar. Yep, love it. He's got Canberra, the Cowboys, Parramatta, Bulldogs, Tigers, St. George. And then after the Origin period, he'll presumably go back to centre. Then they've got Melbourne, Manly. So I like him, but look, I'm more thinking Joey Manu around round 12. That's when he'll sort of be a bit more of a viable option for me, I think. But anyway, Joey Manu, look, I'm not going to knock it. I think this week he'll go big against Knights. The Knights have got quite leaky defence. If he gets his hands on the ball a lot more, he's guaranteed to at least get 50, 60, I think, at a very, very minimum. What else have we got there? Connor Watson moves into 5'8". I'm not too sure anyone's looking at Connor Watson, but there you go. Angus Crichton. Now, Angus Crichton is another one that a lot of people are bringing in, and he is another one I want a lot of people to err on the side of caution. He's a great price, 414K. He's break even of 24. Fantastic. We love that. Got the 80 minutes last week and got 80-something points, which is, again, fantastic. All signs lead to, yep, you beauty, he's home and host. The issue for me is Nat Butcher was out last week with the impending bub coming on for him. Now, I like Angus Crichton if he is an 80-minute player. I'm not too sure if I can get around it if he's a 60-minute player. 55-60. We saw that was Satili Tupanua's role. Nat Butcher, 100%. He's their 80-minute guy. He just seems more likely to get those minutes. He got them last year. I can't see why they would think otherwise. Angus Crichton, if he does, this week will be a test, basically. Break even at 24. Let's say he comes out and gets 70. He probably only makes, 30, 35K. If he's at 450K and he's playing 80 minutes, I'm happy to get him at 450K for 80 minutes. I'm not happy to get him at 414K as a 60-minute player and only jumps out 40s and 50s. So yeah, I'm keen on Angus Crichton, but it's probably one that I'll probably sit on, wait a week, see what happens. Just wait to see what their actual minutes look like with the full rotation. Again, it was a crazy game. Their forward rotation was all over the spot. Terrell May only got 20 minutes. The rumour is that he missed the bus, whether that was some form of punishment or, yeah, something Robbo's doing there with him. I believe that's all it was. It's just a punishment. You showed up late. You can sit your ass on the bench for a couple more minutes, but I think they need him. Like their big boys, Wera Hargraves and Lindsay Collins, they can't keep punching out 50, 60 minutes. I think Terrell May, please hold him. There's quite a few people that are selling him. I think that's a massive mistake. One game, they'll punch him with a couple of minutes and he'll go back, hopefully punching out 60s and 70s in his sleep. Other than that, we've got Dom Young, minus 14, minus 15. I'm not sure what one it was, but it was one of those bloody things. Yeah, look, you probably brought him in. If you brought him in last week, you probably thought, oh yeah, I'll take the hit of him getting a low score last week, and then he'll jump up against the Doggies and absolutely brain it. Unfortunately, not to be. Has a super high break even, suspended for a couple of weeks. Flick him out. Teddy, HIA, failed, knocked out, I think, the 10th concussion of his career. It just doesn't sit well with me being an owner that I'm going to have a guy missing out for a week. I don't think you can afford to do that with how good the fullbacks are going. In a perfect world, if Teddy was absolutely braining it and he was set to make all this money and he got the HIA at the end of the game, I'd be more interested in it. But for me, I'm probably going to jump off him and jump back onto Ponga, and it kills me that I'm doing that because I actually had no plans to do that. I thought this was probably a game for Tedesco where he was going to get, at least an 80-90 game, and I was going to be super happy with it, but not to be. HIA, the most worrying one is that he's his 10th in his career. So you could always tend to think that the Roosters, they do like to take head knocks cautiously. They've sat Luke Keary out for a long time with head knocks and whatnot. So, yeah, he's had quite a few. So I'm just going to jump off him. Ponga's flying. The Knights' run over the next couple of weeks, apart from the Roosters, is really, really good. So their draw is pretty handy. So I'll probably be jumping off and going on to him. For the first of the Friday game, Storm versus the Doggies. First I want to touch on is the Doggies team. Now, the Dogs team has named a whole lot of people that aren't playing. So obviously they've got to name someone there for the week, and they've got a stack of people in reserves. We all know that. But there are players here that dead set are not playing. Connor Tracy has an injury. We move down. Max King has a fractured hand. They're expressing interest about options about how to play that, but they've already come out and said 100% he won't play this weekend, apparently. So he's named, but he's gone. Chris Patolo, he's also picked up an injury. Viliami Kikau, a suspected leg fracture. Like, he's named. He's no chance. The good thing about this is that Sam Hughes pumped out a 73 somehow looks like he's going to crack those minutes. Like, he has to. He apart from that, they got Farmer Silly sitting there. He'll get no minutes. He was starting and getting 20 minutes a game. Gatoga, young guy, I doubt he'll get many minutes. Bailey Hayward, I think he's more of a utility than anything. Bodes well for Joshy Curran, who passed his HIA. Bodes well for Jamin Salmon, another one. If anyone's still got him with Kurt Mann going off, I think Salmon will probably have a few more minutes in the middle there. And yeah, anyone else who was a front rower in that side, I think there's going to be a bit of an uptick in minutes. I think you'll see Liam Knight come in, and that'll probably be about it. But yeah, look, I think the big winner out of that is Sam Hughes and Joshy Curran. The big thing for Joshy Curran is getting his duels. I see he's traded in by about 500-600 teams to the top 10% of teams. So everyone's obviously seen his duels, jumped on it. He's been super impressive. He'll get you 60 in his sleep. So really good to see from there. We'll jump over to the Storm side. Ryan Pappenhausen, I think if people are looking to go from Teddy, the main two that people are going with at the moment are Drinky and Ponga. I love the Pappenhausen idea this week. I think this week is a great week for them. They are going to be decimated, the poor old Doggies. Storm down at Amy Park, they've been pretty good down there. I'll tell you what, they have been putting on a stack load of points down there, which has been really, really good to see. Cam Munster, it was pretty good showing from him. First game back, I think he got a mid-40 sort of game. He's going to have a brainer. I see him, if you've jumped on him round 1 that he came back, I think fantastic work. Probably going to go the same. Can't turn anyone away from Cam Munster. I think he's a fantastic buy. Dill Brown's doing quite poor. Cam Munster is a perfect replacement for Dill Brown. If you're going to go, I think you need to go this week. If you wait until next week, you probably can't. Everyone's going to think about getting Cleary back. For those who have Cleary, you probably can think about it, but there's just a lot of options there where if you have too many people for Origin, you're bringing them in for 4 weeks, taking them out again, or you bring them in for 4 weeks and then not getting them at their full potential. So a bit to watch there. Harry Grant in the 9 came back with a blinder, nearly cracked the 80 points. As an owner, I was hoping he got that sneaky little try assist for Eliasa Katoa, but not to be, and fair enough. He probably didn't deserve it. A try contribution I even thought was pretty generous of the people there at Supercoach, but we'll take it. Harry Grant, I'm tempted to put the VC on him. I think him up against next to no experienced forwards from the Doggy, especially if Maxi King's out, especially if Kikau's out, Patalo's out, and all these other guys are out. I think Harry Grant will really take the game by the scruff of the neck there. So I'm seriously looking at him for a VC option. Now, one of the guys that is very popular to buy in this week is Eliasa Katoa. 681k, break even of 38. I think this is the week to jump on him. The upcoming games for them, it does start to peter off a little bit with how hard their draw has been. They got the Doggies this week. I think he's 110 something that he got last week into the Doggies this week. He's running a fucking awesome line off Jerome Hughes. They're working really good together. They worked really good together last year. I think he's a little bit underpriced for what he is. He had a lot of games affected by HIA and injury last year. I'm just not 100% sold that he is a keeper. I think it's a fantastic option. I think he's going to make some cash because I think he's going to go big against the Bulldogs. I'm just a little bit worried about if he is an actual keeper. I've sort of been fiddling my team around. And I'll probably save that for the end about what my trades will be. But I've been playing around with my team a little bit, and I think Eliasa Katoa is probably a guy that you're going to use as a stepping stone. I'm not too big on him during the Origin period because they have they don't play the 13 bye and they don't play the round 19 bye, which is the big ones, and he's useless for them anyway. He'll be good over the Origin period, but when I'm looking at these guys that we're starting to get in, yes, I think he's going to have a fantastic game. If you got in early and you've already owned him, he's already had a good year. He just has the ability to go 38, 40 points sort of thing, which is a little bit concerning for me. Averages 1 or 2 tackle busts a game, which is really good, but there's another guy that I'm looking at that can get 70 to 80 in his sleep. So I think he's a good buy. I think he's going to make you a lot of cash. I'm just wondering if I can sort of get ahead of the curve a little bit. I'm not going to turn anyone off it anyway. I think if he gets 80, 90, jags another try, maybe gets up around that 100 mark, he's going to explode and you'll be able to afford anyone for him, or you could keep him for the next couple of weeks. Either way, I'm happy with that. Apart from that, Sean Bloor grabs an edge roll. There was a nice little play down the left-hand side. Cam Munster, look long, play short. Champagne Rugby League, Sean Bloor straight through a hole. He looks to have that left-hand edge, second rower spot all but in the bag. Joey Chan played Queensland Cup last week. Comes back in. He's 18th man this week. Although Jack Howarth was in the 19 jersey and he got a run on. So be interesting to see. I hope Joey Chan can jump on and we can get him in there somewhere. But anyway, in the next couple of weeks, there could be a couple of options for guys like Joey Chan to get him out. Sean Bloor, yeah, look, I'm pretty impressed with that. Mid 400Ks. Only issue was it was only 60 minutes. I don't know if that's because it's his first real stint at NRL this year or not. But yeah, one to watch. If he gets 80 minutes, 100% I'll be looking at jumping on him. The late Friday game, Broncos, Dolphins. Now, Reece Walsh is a massive one. He looks set to come back from a facial fracture. It has been fuck all since he's come back. I always thought this was a 6-week injury. There's been pictures of him at training. He's wearing a full face guard, sort of baseball helmet style. The protective gear comes over the cheekbone. So, be interesting to see if he runs out with that on or not. But, yeah, he's back. He's a juicy one as well. I was talking about Ryan Pappenhausen. Now, you've got this bloke who's an absolute freak. He looks like he's going to be kicking goals now that Adam Reynolds is out for a couple of weeks. So I think Adam Reynolds comes back round 8. But the next couple of games that they've got is Dolphins, Canberra, and then the Tigers. Next 3 games, that is huge. Even if he doesn't have the goal kicking against the Tigers and Adam Reynolds does come back, I still think he's an awesome option for the next 3 weeks. Leading in to the Origin period, he's actually got a really, really good run. After the Tigers, he's got the Roosters, Parra, Manly, Gold Coast. That is an awesome run for him. He could average 100 points over those next couple of weeks. Very low ownership. Super low ownership now that he's obviously had that injury. I think a lot of people are going to be worried about other people trying to bring in, so he could be a good option. Ezra Mann, there was some rumours that he limped off at training, so he's probably one to watch. Selwyn Cobbo is another one. He is a guy that I'm probably going to be looking at, like with lightheartedness, I believe. I think if you wanted to go something to change up in your CTWs, Selwyn Cobbo over the next 6 to 7 weeks before the Origin period, he could be a bit of a shout. Other than that, Jaden Hunt comes into his 3rd game. Don't get sucked into that. Keenan Palacio will come back in the next week or 2, and he hasn't been performing that well either. Xavier Willison comes on the bench. He is every bit a buy. If I didn't have other fires to put out and other targets, him at front row would be a serious option. If Sam Hughes didn't have a big week last week like he did and looks like he's generating a lot of cash in the next couple of weeks, hopefully he gets some minutes, Xavier Willison would be a good buy. If you've got him and you've kept him at some stage, well done. Their bench is Tyson Smoothy and Tristan Saylor. So I think at some stage this week, Xavier Willison is going to get a lot of game time. I think he should play 35, 45 minutes in between there. For him, he's an attacking weapon. Could come well for him. For the Dolphins, one that I'm a little bit nervous on is Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow, the Hammer. 50 last week with a try. It was sort of everything that we thought the Hammer can do. If he didn't score a try, there's not a lot of uptick there. But anyway, the Brisbane Broncos is a really good defensive outfit. It'll be interesting to see how he goes this week. There's been a bit of talk about, is he a keeper, is he not a keeper? I'm happy to keep him. But if he can't produce in games like the Broncos, then there might be a bit of talk about who to move him to. Bostock, he's going from strength to strength. He's at 480k. He is playable nearly every day of the week at his recent form, although I do think a little bit like the Hammer, this week will be a bit more of a test for him. I will be playing him, although I'm a little bit more nervous this week. With a low score, he could be coming to the end of his life, Jack Bostock, but though he does play the round 13 bye, so one to consider there. Their forwards, Tom Flegler is probably the only one. He's done an AC joint in his shoulder. They look like they're going to try and manage his pain, though. Looks like he probably misses this game, I'm going to say. They'll at least give him a week, but name nonetheless. Probably good news for Joshy Kerr owners. Josh Kerr's been really good coming off the bench. He's probably too far gone now. I wouldn't be looking at buying him, but if he jumped on, he looks like he could jump into that starting spot. He would be my pick anyway to jump in, although there is the GOAT, Mark Nichols, and Jared Wallace sitting there. For our first of the Saturday games, we have the Warriors against the Sea Eagles. For the Warriors, the big one I want to talk about here is the halves. Tamare Martin pumps out a 98. Sean Johnson pumps out a beautiful 110. Tamare Martin, look, was it an anomaly? I probably believe so. He's 363k, 5'8 fullback dual. Really positive signs. The good thing about him is that don't forget the start of last year, before he got injured, he was their number 1 5'8. Luke Metcalf obviously came in and brained it, so Tamare Martin couldn't get back into the squad. But They had a whole preseason last season with Tamari Martin and Sean Johnson, so don't think that this is going to impact either of them too much. The big thing for Tamari Martin was 2 line breaks, the tackle busts and stuff that he got. He doesn't usually get those sort of numbers. I rate him. I think he's a fantastic player, but it's just probably games that he doesn't usually get. He doesn't usually get those points. So the poor old Rabbitohs, they were poor, so yeah, coming up against Manly, they might get a bit more fight back and he might not be that option. Plus, you get another week to have a look at him until things go bonkers. The big one I want to talk about is Sean Johnson. 691k, he's got a break even of 21. Now, he could go from anywhere from 60 to 100 this week. His projected score is 61. Let's say he goes 70 to 75, he'll make 40k. So next week, you'll be 730k. I'm basing him being around that, give or take a couple of thousand. There's a lot of people are looking to get Nathan Cleary back in next week who don't have Nathan Cleary, who sold Nathan Cleary. There is a massive argument for Sean Johnson to be that guy. 730k, let's say next week he is. He's $150,000 cheaper. You probably don't have to rip your side apart to get him back in, unless you've planned really, really well and you've escaped all these injuries and you've got $400,000 or $500,000 sitting there in your kitty, which I don't. I've got about 120 to 150. You probably wouldn't be disappointed with having to pick Sean Johnson. His next couple of games, albeit they have the Eagles this week, next week is probably when you want to bring him in. The next 3 games, so he's got Manly this week, then he's got St. George, Titans, Newcastle. It's bloody juicy. Now that he's got the goal kicking back, the last 2 games he's gone 75 and 112. You could probably have an argument that the Warriors are better than what they were last year. I think they're going to be more consistent. I think Sean Johnson's scores of last year, there was a couple of games in there at the start of the year where he was pumping out 60, 40, here it is here, 69, 42, 31, 71, 76. That's against quality opposition as well. That was Cowboys, Melbourne, Sydney, Penrith, and the Broncos are in there as well. Quality opposition. I think the Warriors are going to be more well-rounded. I think he's going to be able to score more points off goal kicking than what he did last year. And the big one was the finish to his year. There's games here from, especially during the Origin period, 127 against the Dolphins, 119 against Canberra, 112 against St. George. That was in 3 weeks. Massive scores. There's games here against the Sharks, 135. He's got 75, 74. This is to finish the year. Gold Coast, 149, 73 against the Tigers, and then Manly St. George was 60 and 50. He was probably going toe-to-toe with Nathan Cleary and Nico Hines from round 14 onwards when the Warriors really kicked into gear. Now, a lot of games there at the start of the year, they were up and down, had very hard oppositions, but they don't seem to have the hard oppositions coming their way that hard to end this season. Now, they've got, like I said, during round 13, they do not play that bye, so they're out for that bye. In that period, from round 14, they've got Cowboys, Melbourne, Gold Coast, Broncos. This is where it gets juicy towards the back end of this. Now, I'm diving in a bit on Sean Johnson. I think it's because I'm trying to convince myself that I'm going to buy him over Nathan Cleary and save 150k and spend it elsewhere. The issue with that as well is you can have Sean Johnson for the period of Origin. You cannot have Nathan in there. It's you're buying him back in and then you're selling him again and then you're buying him back in. All of a sudden, it's 4 to 5 trades around Nathan Cleary, and I think I'm gonna stick with a Sean Johnson sort of mould unless I've got the cash there and it doesn't kill my team. After Origin, he goes Bulldogs, Canberras, Tigers, Parramatta, Dolphins, Manly, Bulldogs, Sharks. Suck me off. That is good. My God, that's good. I'm probably looking at Sean Johnson if it saves tearing my team apart. If I've got the money there, I'm going to go Nathan Cleary. If not, Sean Johnson, welcome to the Ferrets. All right, back onto this. Jackson Ford again, braining it. I'm nearly convinced he's going to be one of the best 2RFs in the game this year. I think if you've got the cash, if you've got the ability to do it, like stop sleeping on these Warriors players. There's also Fanua Blake. We've got to start looking at him coming into Origin. Mitch Barnett, got to look at him coming into Origin. Tohu Harris, all these guys after that round 13 game where they do not play. Round 14 onwards, these are the guys we need to get onto. For Manly, Tommy Trbojevic going 100 plus against Penrith, unheard of. He looks phenomenal. The disgusting thing is Burbo, his brother, he's been named in the centres. I would not be playing him this week. I'm probably not going to be able to trade him out this week, but I'm going to be pushing heaven and earth to get him out next week. I think if his... I don't think he'll be named in the centres again, but I'm worried that Corey Waddell, who's been playing quite well, is probably going to get a bit more of a sniff in that second row spot there. Luke Brooks, please hold on to Luke Brooks. After this game, they've got a really, really easy set of games coming up, and his bye-period coverage will be phenomenal as well. Taniela Paseka had a really good game last week. Apart from that, yeah, don't jump on Corey Waddell. He doesn't look like much. If he does get the 80 minutes at the second row there, then we can start talking about him. 5:30 game on Saturday is the Parramatta Eels against the Cowboys. Now, poor old Blaze Talagi, I'm sure nearly everyone bought him in. I'm thinking he'll just be a straight swap this week for Schiller. I'm probably not going to do it, though, because I'm going to try and make a few moves. But Blaze Talagi, unfortunately, dropped. Look, you made 70K out of it. I think they need to sort the poor kid's future out, though, because so far, the last couple of weeks, they're going to play him in 3 different positions. It's going to be super confusing for him. I hope he's got a lot of people around him that can give him a good bit of information. He's gone centre, 5'8", and then I'm pretty sure he's named this week at fullback in reserve grade. So, geez, he'd have some head noise going on at the moment. I hope there is a good team around him and they can sort him out, because he'll be very confused at what's going on at the moment. So, anyway, Dejan Arce, he comes in at 5'8". He's a decent option, but I'd give him a couple of weeks just to have a look. Dill Brown. I think you can probably leave Dill Brown for another week. I think if there's a world where you can go Dill Brown to Nathan Cleary next week, that is probably a good option. Or Dill Brown to Sean Johnson this week. I think they're good options. I wouldn't downgrade Dylan Brown to another 5'8", because the other best 5'8" is going around is Luke Brooks at the moment, and still he's been good but not super, super convincing. So keep Dillbags if you've got him, unless you can move him on to a Nathan Cleary. Or a Munster. Yeah, you could run Munster, but still Munster's not tried and true for the year, but I do rate it. Yeah, you could go Dillbags to Munster as well if you were that way inclined. Joey Lussick seems to have fallen in a heap now that everyone's cashed in Danny Levi, jumped onto him. Looks like Levi's going to make even more money than he is, so that is a shot in the foot. Sean Lane. If you have nothing else to do with your team, I would be getting rid of Sean Lane. If you have other dramas, I'm sure you do, leave Sean Lane there. I think with Dejan Arce coming back into that squad, it probably bodes well for him. I think if they can get an out-and-out 6 to give him a bit of decent ball. Dylan Brown just hasn't been performing that well this year, which has been impacting Sean Lane's ability to get scoring opportunities. So look, I'm happy if you leave him, but I can fully understand if people want to jump off. 35 just isn't enough for his sort of caliber of player that you probably expected. Probably expected 60s and 70s. So yeah, I'd be jumping off Sean Lane if you can do it. The Cowboys, Scotty Drinkwater's another popular one that's been brought in. I like it. I like it a lot. I don't think he's in the running for an Origin jersey. I think if Teddy doesn't get it, I think Dylan Edward gets it. So if you're starting to plan for Origin and a bit worried about KP maybe getting picked in the Origin squad, I think KP's more likely to get picked in the Queensland squad as opposed to Scotty Drinkwater getting picked in the New South Wales Blues team. Tommy Chester, I'll give him another week, but just have a little look. The very unfortunate Zach Laybut, he is a sell, gone for the season. super disappointing. He absolutely brained it week 1. Everyone got on him. He got injured, had 2 fizzes straight out the back, and now he's gone. Murray Taulagi, he had a really good game on the weekend. If you are pretty keen on the combination of Drinkwater, Holmes, Taulagi, you could do worse for wingers. He's a left-hand side winger. They do put a lot of ball there. He looks really good. Looks like they're going to score a shitload of points down that side this year. I'm a big fan. Reece Robson, look, I'm sure no one's looking to buy Reece Robson, but just if you had him, good on you. Cotter, I think in the next couple of weeks, he's going to be probably a sell. Although he has been doing really good, if we can start to move guys like Ruben Cotter onto, I'll be looking more around Britton Nikora. Britton Nikora, he's going to come down in a couple of weeks. I'll be looking to move Ruben Garrick off, get Curran into my front row forward, and then try and get Nikora in. He has a really good draw, so start to look at Ruben Cotter, start to look at make moves to get rid of him if you do have him. On this game, Bunnies versus the Sharks, I've got Nicho Hynes. I'm captaining Nicho Hynes after looking at this. I probably wasn't fully sold on it until you look at their spine. I know Jai Gray had an absolute fucking blinder in the Charity Shield, although that was when he came on, was basically the Dragons' second grade side is what he was up against. So he's been phenomenal in reserve grade. I hope he brains it. I hope he kills it. I hope he keeps his spot. He's that energetic, enthusiastic fullback that I think the Rabbitohs need. Do I think he'll get it? No. But look, I think he's in for a tougher ask than what he was up against in the Charity Shield and reserve grade. But anyway, he's one to watch. He's bottom dollar. Dean Hawkins, yuck. Peter Mamazelis. Now, I'm sure this is just a week thing with Damien Cook. He's going to drop him for a week, try and get a bit more chat and a bit more fire in the belly for Damien Cook. Although JD seems to be on very, very thin ice there as the coach, so I'm not even sure that he is going to have a gig at the end of the week. But anyway, I'm all but certain Peter Mamazelis only comes in for a week. Don't be looking at getting him. Maybe in 3 weeks, if Damien Cook is on the nose for good, then we can start looking at him. But I don't think that's the case. I honestly think he's in for a week, and then they'll flick him out. Another one is Cameron Murray. Now, Cam Murray is a guy that I potentially will be looking at getting rid of him. A little bit controversial. He's been pretty good, and I've actually rated him. He's got nearly 60 every game. He got a 75 with attacking stats and then 45 last week. My concern is that the Rabbitohs are now a basket case and Cam Murray is just going to week in, week out, just tackle himself to a standstill, have no attacking stats, no one running off him, and their draw is absolutely horrendous the next 3 weeks. They have the Sharks, Melbourne, and then Penrith. I'm worried he's going to lose a stack of cash. I could move him to Eliesa Katoa, but I've been playing around a little bit, and I think I'm going to try and move him on to Dave Fafita. Could potentially be going early on Dave Fafita, but Dave Fafita did absolutely sweet FA last week and got 80. Cam Murray busts his nut week in, week out and gets 50. The play is probably Eliesa Katoa. It's probably a bit safer. Being in the Melbourne system, yada, 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 doesn't play Origin. But Fafita can just go 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. And I think second row forward is really lacking that. And I think he is probably the only guy that can do that consistently. Cam Murray, I wouldn't be surprised if this week he comes out and gets 80, does a massive captain's knock. But he just doesn't have the hundreds in him. I feel as though in the next couple of games, Sharks, Melbourne, Penrith, he then does have St. George, Cowboys and Parramatta and then leads into Origin period. He's 100% playing Origin. So, yeah, I just think it's time to probably move on from guys like this and guys like Cotter. Start getting some other guys in. If they're not performing, I'm more than happy to drop Cam Murray for a guy that's, I think, has got a lot more upside, a lot more potential, like a Dave Fafita, and then I'll start building towards my Origin guys from there. Other than that, South, not much going on there. For the Sharkies, Kyle Iro, he looks to have that centre spot. Do not go early on him. My worry is that the forwards for the Cronulla Sharks are all going to start coming back the next couple of weeks. You've got Siasa for Talakai. He is on the bench. He's not on the bench because he's been playing shit. He is playing on the bench because he played shit in second row. He's been one of the best centres in the game. I'm sure he is just there for a middle coverage. The thing is that they've got Toby Ruder from Braden Hamlin-Uele sitting there on the reserves, which means they're about to come in soon, which means Tommy Hazelton, Oregon Kafusi potentially go back to the bench. Therefore, they don't need Hal Tapua. Sorry if I fucking butchered that. I'm sure I have. Talakai could potentially go back to centres. Kyle Iro out completely next week. That is just one to watch. I think Kyle Iro, if that is them going forward, Kyle Iro in the centres and Talakai coming off the interchange, then I'm happy to do that. I just can't see it. Talakai and Ronaldo Mulatalo have built a connection on 18 months worth of work to 2 years worth of work. I just don't think they're going to throw that all away because Kyle Iro comes in. Now, Kyle Iro with a 90 odd last week, he's every bit a buy. So if he does contain that, if he does retain that spot, I'm just not 100% sure that he does. Please just hold off on that. Hold off on that. Big one to watch there is Briton Nakora. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks he goes down in price. Can start looking at an option to pick him up before the origin period starts to kick off. I think they have a very good run coming into origin. Like I'm pretty big on the Sharkies boys, like Nicho Hynes coming in for it. The next couple of weeks, they got the Bunnies, Cowboys, Canberra, St. George. The yuck thing is actually going into origin is Melbourne, Roosters, Penrith. Whether you wait until round 13 to get him in, not sure. But look, if Briton Nakora against the Bunnies, against the Cowboys can have a relatively low game, I'll probably be trying to bring him in for the Canberra St. George games and hope that he does reasonably well, 50-odd points against Melbourne, Sydney, Penrith. If he averages 50, 60 in those sort of games, then he will absolutely brain it, and his run home is really good. You can keep him for the rest of the year. Just one to watch on him. I think he's going to be a really good buy in the next couple of weeks. Other than that, not a great deal going on there either. Nicho Hynes, genuine captain option. I probably will captain him, but I'll release all that on Instagram once we get a bit more of an idea. Now, Latrell Mitchell, got to get rid of him. Gone for 3 weeks with a buy in there, so 4 weeks out, has to go out. The young winger there, Tyrone Munro, he's worth a watch, but that's probably all I'm going to do for him is just watch. And that's probably all I've got for that game. First of Sunday games, Tigers versus the Dragons. There's a bit going on here, but for the Tigers, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they need Galvin. They just lacked a little bit of that special punch against the Dolphins last week. Jaden Sullivan, decent. Played all right, but look, they really need that little 18-year-old in there, and I need him in as well because he's in my Supercoach team. Solomona Fatape, he scored a double, scored a pretty handy Supercoach score. Not convinced. Far from sold. The big one there, I think, for the Tigers is Stefano Utoikamanu. Now, look, this is a guy that 2 years ago everyone thought, yep, this is a guy. This is the guy we need to get in our sides. I think he was probably started the year around 400k, and everyone thought, yep, this is our guy. He's 555k. He's gained 40,000 so far this year. Break even of 28, which is really, really good. Projected score 61. He looks like he's only going to go up about 28k. So there's not a great deal difference. He just is in a little bit of an awkward price bracket. 555k is probably a bit more than I would like to pay for him, but he is absolutely fucking murdering it. He has a 5-round average of 62, a 3-round average of 68. Last score last week was 84. Yes, a bit inflated due to the minutes of a couple of forwards going down with HIAs, but still looks the goods. His tackle busts over the last couple of weeks here, he has got You got 7, 5, and 5. He's got 17 tackle busts over the last 3 weeks. That was against the Sharks, Parras, and Dolphins. He's now got St. George, Penrith, Broncos, Bulldogs, Knights, Dolphins, Cowboys coming into the Origin period. If you're going to jump on him this week. Otherwise, he's going to be up near around 600k, and that's just too expensive to have on him. His minutes have been really good. The minutes are there, like 66 last week, yes, inflated, but the other games have been 54, 61, and 52. They're good minutes. They are keeper minutes for a guy who has tackle busting abilities, offload abilities in our front row forward. Like I said, if you're going to go him, you've got to go this week. If you don't go this week, it's 600k and you're pushing shit uphill. You're trying to bring Cleary back in next week. You're trying to make moves with Munster. You know, these other guys that you probably need to get on before him. Other than that, Papali'i had a really good game. He's been a bit up and down, but he played well. With Bateman going down, they seem to shift to his edge a little bit more. Other than that, I don't really have any buy, hold, sell real options. Samuel Afainu, he's out with a HIA. Just hold him. He's not going to do too much damage for you, so no stress there. For the Dragons, Tyrell Sloan. Look, if you've got, by some miracle, got Tyrell Sloan, I'd be a little bit worried about Zachy Lomax moving into the fullback spot. Not even though he started there, but midway through last game, he got a bit of a reality check. Had a poor game, Tyrell Sloan. In the second half there, when they shifted him out, so if he does shift away from that fullback spot, I think he's big trouble. Zach Lomax moving to the fullback spot, I think that's actually going to be worse for him. I think if Zach Lomax is anything but on the wing, he's going to start bleeding a bit of cash. Kyle Flanagan. Now, I have Kyle Flanagan in my side. I do like the Dragons run around the Origin period, but Kyle Flanagan's a break-even of 42, I believe it is. He's every chance of not getting that this week, and I think he could be at a point where you've made 100, 110k. I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'm going to take the Kyle Flanagan 110k made. It was pretty much all I was after anyway. I was only after 100, 120k out of him. Got it. I had to play him last week and get a 27 out of him, so I'm a bit disappointed about that. So I'm a bit salty owner, but still, I think I'm looking at moving Flanagan off this week. Get some guys in that are going to really start picking up the cash generation. I can go Flanagan to Schiller, and that's probably what I'll do this week. Tom Eisenhuth, he's been decent, although he's probably a little bit too high a price now. Jack DeBellin, again, another 60 out from him. Look, he's a serious option for around the buy periods as well. I say this every year, but Jack DeBellin, I like it as long as he is playing front row forward, and he seems as though that is going to be his goal. 619k though, a little bit steep, pumped out of 65, 53 minutes. It's good news. If he can get 60 minutes, he's a keeper and he's going to get those 70-point games. So he is one to watch. If he can work his way back into the starting side at front row, not at lock. If he's at lock, it kills him. He passes the ball too much. But he's one to look at anyway. A good option for when they come around. The Raiders up against the Titans. A bit to see here. Chevy Stewart. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, yeah, Rapana out for a couple of games, maybe 1 or 2, and he'll be right. Rapana is out from 6 to 8 weeks. James Schiller has a break-even of 140. Well, maybe I've read that wrong. But anyway, James Schiller, 238k. No, he has a break-even of 117. He's set to make 140k, sorry. Set to make 140k if he gets 51. If he gets 100, he'll win nearly 200k. That's enormous. He's by far the most bought-in player. He's 44,000 teams have brought him in. Mad not to, I think. Even if he is there for a week and Albert Hopewadi comes in, although there's every chance that Chevy Stewart has a bit of a quiet game. They look at shifting Sebastian Chris to fullback, Schiller or Albert Hopewadi, then move into the centres. He keeps his spot. He gets a couple more cash rises. So that's sort of what I'm hoping for Schiller. If we only get a week out of him, I'm still stoked with it. 100k, I think you're nearly guaranteed. That's what they say is a giving rate for a trade anyway. So happy days. Now, Chevy Stewart, he will be one to watch. If he has a blinder and keeps his spot, Very exciting news there for the Canberra Raiders. 6 to 8 weeks, Geordie Rapani is out, so there is an option there for him and Schiller to keep their spots. But yeah, one to have a bit of a look at. Ethan Strange, he's going from strength to strength. 90 points from him on the weekend. I was lucky enough to have to play him, which was good. Coming in here, Danny Levi, hold him until he stops scoring tries. Once he stops scoring tries, fuck him off, because he will have a spate of games where he goes 20. But looks good. It's 45 points. His cash generation is still there. He's playing good minutes. He's getting 50 to 60 minutes, which is really good. His output is just horrendous. Joey Tarpany had a bit of a quiet game last week. If you've got him, hold on to him now. Zach Hoskin comes straight back in the 12 jersey. Beautiful to see there. Morgan Smithies. Now, Morgan Smithies with no Corey Horsburgh. Corey Horsburgh has an abdominal injury. Morgan Smithies playing 80 minutes. He is a mid-60 player. That is what we love to see. That is what we want. If he can keep that going, keep that cash generation going, can only bode well for us. For the Titans, Jaden Campbell looks really good in at a 5'8 option. I'm not saying I'm going anywhere near it, but there is an option for you to go Jaden Campbell down from a Dill Brown or something like that if he does go big this week. Harley Smith-Shields, 22 with a try, I think he got as well. So that's a bit disappointing, but I thought maybe seeing him, he could be coming onto the cheapie list at some stage, but just doesn't seem to be. Jamin Jolliffe, another solid option. He's bumping up around that 500k mark though, so not really getting massive minutes, just shy of 50 minutes for the games. But anyway, we'll have a look at that. Dave Fafita. Dave Fafita is a very, very interesting one. Played 80 minutes on the weekend, got 80 points. I am thinking about running a Dave Fafita option this week. He is super expensive, 832k. Break even of 112, that means nothing. He can get that. He can kill that in the next couple of weeks. He could be up around 900,000 to $1 million. His run the next couple of weeks is the Raiders, Manly, New Zealand, Storm, Cowboys, Knights, Broncos. Not the greatest run, but it's Dave Fafita. The big one is Kieran Foran's named. Doesn't look like that ankle or lower leg injury is as bad as what they suspected. Apparently, he wanted to come back on during that game against the Cowboys last week, but the medical staff went on the side of caution. First game, 55 minutes, 57 points. Second game, 80 minutes, 81 points. He is running at a point per minute. If he continues that up, he hasn't scored a try. He hasn't got a try assist. He hasn't got a try contribution. They're coming. His work rate has been phenomenal. He's got in that, his only attacking stats was a line break and a line break assist. That is his tackle bust, 3 tackle busts, an offload, 30 points in runs. This is why I want to get on him. 30 points in runs. His base, if you take out the attacking stats, 31 tackles. I'm going to put tackle busts into his base because he will do that anyway. Like he's a tackle busting freak. We all know that. 30 and 31. So we've got 67 points in base. It's phenomenal. It's great. 67. It's top tier sort of efforts that you see from guys once they get attacking stats, 70 points. I'm so big on him. I'm so big on him now that Tino's not there. Kieran Foran looks to be fit. They've got no other option but to just give him the fucking ball. And the good thing is that he's going looking for it as well. I really like the option today for Fafita. The only way I'm going to be able to get him is to have a boost, but to get ahead in Supercoach, you need to get ahead of the trend. Now, the trend this week is everyone going Alessia Katoa. Good option, good move, smart move. Money's there, the points are probably there as well. I feel as though down the track, you're going to go Eliesa Katoa to Dave Fafita. That is what people's goal is going to be. If I can get Cam Murray, not to Eliesa Katoa, but to get it to David Fafita, I'm going to save myself some headaches, and I've 100% got a pod. Dave, what's his ownership? Dave Fafita's ownership is at 1%. 1,700 people own him. Is that going to change this week? I don't think so. Everyone is going to look at it and see, oh yeah, he's got 112 break even, and they're going to wait and hopefully losing some cash. I think I'm going to get on him. I think I'm going to use another boost. I'm going to bite the bullet, get a couple of players in, and that is going to be my option. Anyway, Dave Fafita, for me, I think he's a buy. I don't think there's another 2RF player that is floating around that can consistently get you 100s. It is like Nathan Cleary's, Nicho Hines's, and your extreme fullbacks that you just feel you need because they can ton up. He's the only guy in 2RFs that can do that, and he can do it without any help from his teammates. He'll just do it. So yeah, I'm pretty keen on him. Khalees Haas is another one. He's been locked into lock. Now look, he's been playing pretty big minutes. I'm not going to say that I am sold on him. I think he's a decent option. I think he's priced pretty well, 391k. He's got a break even of 10. Look, scored the try last week, so that obviously inflates his price a little bit. The 73. He has 2 other 80-minute games of 45 and 34 points, although they were on an edge. Give him a week. If he does seem to have that lock position locked up, yeah, there's a good one. I probably, yeah, look, he's only 2RF. Yeah, one to watch. Give him a week. If he has a high output and he has a 60-point game and he looks like an absolute freak and massive motor in the middle, plays 80, then he's an option. But other than that, he's probably not. Now, that's probably all we've got time for, guys, really. Realistically, that's about all we're running with. Yeah, look, I'm loosely running around with trades at the moment, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do a boost. I hate doing a third boost around this time, but I just want to get ahead of the curve. I'm sitting at a pretty good spot, 9,000. I'm super happy with how my team is. This week, I get Nicho Hines back. He comes back off that bye. I'm going to be looking at going Teddy to Ponga, because the Ponga, this week, I think he'll score decent. I'm not expecting massive things for him against the Roosters, but the weeks after that are really, really good for Ponga. I think you're going to need him those weeks. He has the Dogs, the Dolphins, Warriors, Tigers, Gold Coast, Bulldogs going into the bye rounds there. He's not a certainty to play Origin. If Reece Walsh comes back and brains it, I think Reece Walsh will probably get that fullback spot, although they probably will put him on as number 14 and inject him into the game there somewhere. But yeah, again, not locked into Origin. Crazy things have happened. So, Teddy to Ponga. Looking at going Kyle Flanagan out. Ethan Strange into my 5'8 spot and Schiller in to free up some cash. And then Cam Murray as a straight swap to David Fafita. Risky, but then again, is it risky? David Fafita, like I said, constantly gets 100s. I'm pretty happy with it. So, yeah, that's probably the way I'm going to run down anyway. That'll be my trades. Please follow us on Instagram. I'll be officially telling everyone what I'll be doing with that. There might be some more news coming out. Thursday is when I release all that stuff. Follow us. We have our captaincy choices for the week. We have our captain's run. Probably looking at Nicho, but again, there's a stack of other people that can run in there. Pongers, Val Holmes. We'll get into all that on that as well, and a couple of smokies that I've probably got for my captaincy runs. But anyway, guys, that is us. Please like and subscribe as well. I fucking hate saying all that stuff, like and subscribe. Look, you don't fucking have to, but if you do, it'd be awesome. Yeah, that's it for us, guys. Thanks heaps. Take care.